Hey folks, this is the legislative update for the current week, and we're near the end of the session, so I want to recap some of the highlights of the last 2 years from our office. So over this period of time, I've introduced 36 bills, 73 amendments, 3 resolutions, and I've co-sponsored 156 bills. I spoke at over 65 committee hearings, and our office and the people that work in our office opened, these are new cases, 3,279 cases to advocate for you, our bosses, of which 352 of them were for our veterans. And I'm going to continue to work for you in the next Congress. Legislatively, the big issue for the week was protecting Social Security. So we had legislation regarding what's called the windfall protection. Just to explain, if you left high school and started a job as a government, whether you were a firefighter, maybe a teacher, maybe a police officer, you likely had a state government or a local pension, and for that you didn't receive Social Security benefits because you weren't paying into Social Security. But Social Security is calculated based on your lowest earnings, and the less you earn during your working years, the more you receive in Social Security benefits at the end, unless you haven't paid in. And so what this bill sought to do is to make sure that that people got the full Social Security benefit, because oftentimes people worked a little in the private sector with a pension and sometimes in the public sector, or in the private sector without a pension, and in the public sector with a pension. And so there was a disparity there. And when many people think you're going to get a certain amount for Social Security at the end, and they don't get it because they've been receiving a pension in lieu of Social Security. So this bill sought to fix that. Unfortunately, like I said, the less you earn in Social Security benefits, the more you make in Social Security benefits at the end. And so for every year you're receiving a pension, Social Security shows you at 0. And so your benefit is higher, which the federal government considers a windfall. Now, this is, generally speaking, a blunt instrument. It doesn't look at you individually. It looks at entire population. So there are unfairnesses in it. There are inequities in it. And this sought to solve that. The problem is, under this current provision that was passed, people that received a pension will also receive the entire Social Security benefit at the highest level. And so, first of all, they didn't earn it and they didn't pay into it at that level. And second of all, it bankrupts Social Security very badly, very quickly, probably half the time, or about half the time that Social Security will be bankrupt. So no one will receive the full benefit. And so I voted no on that, but I voted yes on a similar bill which sought to solve it, but not bankrupt Social Security. So recognizes the inequality, but doesn't bankrupt Social Security. Unfortunately, that bill didn't prevail. The other one did. So I hope that's understandable to you, but I'm certainly happy to go through your questions if you have any. And as you know, I always pledge to save Social Security, and I think my vote was a vote to save Social Security. Other than that, for this week, this is some inside baseball, but I think you ought to know it. We had leadership elections, and we had what we call votes on the rules. So every 2 years, we vote on how we operate Congress, and those are called the rules. Now, people like me want to have the rule vote first, so we know what the rules of the operation are before leadership elections. But leadership always wants to have leadership elections first and then do the rules vote second. Washington, D.C. is about leverage. The reason you want the rules vote first is to see what the rules of the game are going to be before you vote on who's going to be at, leadership implementing or instituting those rules. And so, but leadership didn't want that. So there was a tussle, there was a fight, because in some of the proposed rules, understand you would have to vote for leadership first and get that out all the way, and then you vote for the rules. So once the rules are in place, you don't have any way to hold anybody accountable for 2 years. So one of the proposed rules amendments was to punish members for how they vote if they vote contrary to what leadership recommends. Well, I told the leadership and everybody here, I don't answer to anyone here. I answer to my constituents, and that's it. And so there was going to be a bit of a fight. You might have read about it on Twitter or seen something on TV, because we were not going to accept that rules package, because I'm not going to be removed from committees because I voted different than what leadership demanded. We were able to work it out for now, so those rules amendments did not come to the floor. We did not pass them, and so hopefully we can have a smooth transition here. We still have to elect a speaker. What we did this week was nominate a speaker, but you can't elect a speaker until they're elected into Congress. The Senate's a whole other story. I know I got a lot of calls. People say, why didn't you vote for Rick Scott? Well, first of all, to me, they moved the leadership elections up before they're not even going to be certified to be elected until January, right? But they did the elections now. We didn't do the elections. We just nominated. And so, but I'm not in the Senate. So while I think that Rick Scott was the best person to be the leader in the Senate, and I said so publicly, I don't get a vote on that. That's the Senate. Now, I think they should have waited until January. That's another story, but I wanted to make that clear for you so you'll understand. I'm in the House, they're in the Senate. We nominated the speaker and we still have to vote on him in January, and he still might not get the votes, but that's how that goes. And in the Senate, they do it over there, and while I can have an opinion, I don't get a vote on it. So that's kind of the update. Happy to answer any of your questions. It's been great to serve for these 2 years. We got one more week this month before Thanksgiving in session, and then we'll be back in December, and we'll see how it goes to the end of the year. We got a lot of big things to do, but we can talk about that later. God bless you. I hope you're safe, and I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week.